Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second half of our doubleheader tonight. In case you missed our first show, The Professor and the Pupil, the focus was on Eric Katz, and he was laser sharp. With that said, talking baseball, Monday night, you know the drill. I'm going to go over some topics first, and I'll bring out the crew. We're going to talk a lot about paulskenes. I ought to make Miranda feel at home.
Yes.
And Ryne, okay? We're going to talk about the game of the week. I'm not going to give that one out. Josemiranda, Ryne Sandberg, and there will be time for parting shots. So with that said, I want to welcome Eric Katz. This guy is laser sharp. The best part about him is he's my protege, and I'm proud of this kid. And this guy's got nothing but unlimited potential. Glad to have you back for round two tonight, Eric. You can expect to see Eric more, hopefully in the next couple of weeks on this show as well. And then, of course, it'll come in situational. All right. Yes, Walter Mitchell. It is baseball time.
Sure.
All right. So Eric is back. All right. George Eichhorn.
Good to be back for another round. It's baseball time.
And Mark, the Barber Marinae. I'm telling you, this guy and I connected on Twitter, and then we ended up meeting in Cooperstown. And don't get any better than that than have him on this show, right, Mr. Mark?
Absolutely look forward to Monday nights and talking baseball with you gentlemen. Can't think of any place I'd rather be. Well, maybe a few places, but this is the best place for most Monday nights.
Oh, I'm not worried about it, Mark. Just say it. You're on Monday night. That's that. Okay. And we even arranged the time so you could come on instead of do it earlier. Okay. That's how much respect we have for you.
Can I just speak to that? I really appreciate that. I took on teaching an evening high school health class, and everybody who's out there listening, Scott was willing to push the show back so that I could continue to be an active part of this. And I can't tell you how much I respect that, and I respect you for doing that.
Well, my pleasure. You know what, Mark? I've always known you not only as a first-class person, but when we connected out in Cooperstown, you being a teacher. So anybody in their right mind that wouldn't do it, shame, shame, shame in the eyes of Gomer Pyle. But I know you've always been an incredible educator, and I'm glad to do it for you of all people.
Thank you.
And Mark, knowing that his late father-in-law, my dad, was a math teacher in the high school and an educator, we all definitely support our educators and appreciate all that you guys do. You guys don't get paid enough to do what you guys do, and we appreciate you.
You know what, Candy? I should be getting Otani's salary. He should be getting mine.
Exactly. You're educating the future America. It could be the future president for all we know. When, you guys need to get paid more. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't mean to get political. We might need some help in November, and I'm leaving it at that. And that's as far as the politics go, and I'm leaving it at that. So, all right, well, let's get this thing going here with obviously Paulskenes' story. Second pitcher in MLB history with 60-plus strikeouts and under 10 walks in his first 8 starts. If that isn't enough, okay, Paulskenes is the only player in MLB history to earn an all-star nod the season after going first overall. And if that isn't enough, let's go a little step earlier. Earlier this season, the St. Louis Cardinals gave him a standing ovation over at Busch Stadium. My goodness. All right, we're going to go to Pittsburgh right now. Well, supposedly was Mark the Barber Marinae. Is Paulskenes the real deal?
Paulskenes is beyond the real deal. Probably like a month ago, I had on the voice of the Indianapolis Indians, and it was a really great. He was on the Original Sports Podcast with Mark Marinae and the Barbershop crew. He was outstanding, and we got talking about Skenes, obviously because we needed to talk about Skenes, although right. He had just recently had gone up. He said that he is the hardest working person that he had ever met, had ever seen, the whole 9 yards. My only problem with Paulskenes is he plays in Pittsburgh. That's my biggest problem with it. They are not going to put a team around him. When this guy goes out and throws 6 innings at least a game, mows down 7, 8, 9 guys as a 21, soon to be 22-year-old, or maybe just recently turned 22-year-old, he should be getting some kind of support. And they are still sitting on their hands. Thank you. The big thing that is going to happen with this kid is he's going to get to a point where he gets to salary arbitration and he's going to get the money he deserves, and it's not going to be in Pittsburgh, which will continue the abyss for that city. But as far as that kid goes, there's no one sharper out there. None.
All right, off to the chat room. James Burgess just nailed a bullseye on his first comment, and I'm going to talk about it. Haven't seen this kind of universal draw since Mark the Bird Fidrych in 1976. Guys, if that isn't a bullseye, then tell me what the word means. Good stuff, James Burgess, off to George Eichhorn, who myself and him, we saw a lot of Mark the Bird Fidrych, but Peter focused, George, on Skenes.
Yeah, we sure did. We saw a lot of that. And no, Skenes, this is rarefied air right now because you don't see this kind of stuff very often. Like you said, Scott, being the number one draft choice and then going on and having such a stellar start in the big leagues. I mean, I look back on guys in Detroit. I'm not going to mention names, but I mean they've drafted pitchers before. Even the guy they got now, the All-Star tarikskubal, he's been in the league. He's 27 years old, and it took him that many years to be 10-3. And again, that doesn't compare to Skenes because obviously, Tarik took a long time, for example. But no, I mean, Mark, that is a bullseye, and there's discussion about that too around baseball. When you got a great player like that, a great pitcher like that, and you don't surround him with enough talent and don't surround the lineup with enough runs and run producing talent, that is an issue, and that is a very much concern. But enjoy the ride, enjoy what's happening right now, enjoy the wins that he is accomplishing and the great games and the strikeouts and the All-Star game. Enjoy all of that right now, Pirates fans.
Okay, back to the chat room. Back to the chat room. I have a feeling this chat room is going to get really interesting. Hold on with the haircut chat. Go to the one above. Baseball needs some sort of cap certainty so these teams can play these players instead of name your big C. Yeah, you know what, Walter? That they need it, but the question is whether they're going to get it because I don't think the Players Association is going to budge. They're looking to keep things going up. I don't see a cap, but Walter, I definitely see your point, and I definitely believe that you're definitely not alone with that point. All right, now go ahead, Mark.
You know what, Scott? It's okay if they don't want to have a cap at the top, but you've got to have a spending floor. You've got too many teams that are spending 40, 50, 60 million dollars. And then when it comes time to pay a guy like Skenes or for the Pirates, they have, let me just put it to you this way. If they had to go into the playoffs, they have 3 starters that would be qualified to potentially win 1, if not 2 series in Mitch Keller, Paul Skenes, and Jared Jones. Those are 3 solid major league pitchers, and they're young for the most part. But when Jones and Skenes' time comes up, there's no spending floor. So they're just going to let those, they're going to trade them away for, as they always do, prospects. And this is Major League Baseball's fault. This is their fault for letting bobnutting do this for years and years now. He cashes in and he doesn't care about anything else.
Okay, let's go to Eric. Eric, first I want you to focus on Skenes because I know that you're salivating to talk to somebody in the chat room, and you're going to get every opportunity to do that. But anyways, let's keep on point with Skenes first, and then we'll proceed with the comments in the chat room. Go ahead, Eric.
I mean, I've seen, we've seen a lot of hard throwers over the years. The Verlanders, the Chris Carpenters, who could breeze it past people when they were younger. Not really now with Verlander because he's become more finesse, but back in the day he was a hard thrower. But I saw this kid in spring training. The Yankees were facing the Pirates that day. And he didn't start, but he was throwing a bullpen. His fastball sounds like a shotgun when it pops the glove. That guy, he's one of those pitchers that just wants to, very cerebral. He wants to work. I mean, nothing is good enough for that guy. Nothing will ever be good enough for that guy unless he's having success. And this guy is a special arm. I mean, you don't see a guy come in after being a year. I mean, obviously the minor league system now is a little more sped up now than it ever was before. So that's part of it too. And I guess you could probably, I'm not sure if tarikskubal would be any more successful than he is now had he come through the same system. But this man's got This man throws bullets. I'm telling you, he is just an incredible pitcher. I mean, I think every time he's pitched, the Pirates have had the lead. Every time he's left them with the lead and a chance to win. But here's the thing about the Pirates, though. All right, I'm going to say something a little positive about them. They're heading in a good direction right now, and you're starting to see a little bit of a core there. I mean, obviously O'Neal Cruz's growth has been stunted because of a couple of major injuries he's had there. But they got Nolan Jones. They have Jared Jones. They have Mitch Keller up top. You just need 3 pitchers who can fire that sucker in there and get outs. And don't forget too, in the Pirates bullpen, they have David Bednar to close out games, who's just a mammoth when he goes out there. But I think the Pirates are heading in a good direction right now. Now the only question is, will they actually commit to that direction? I think Bencherington's doing an incredible job there, given the resources he's had. You can say what you will about bobnutting, but the question is, I think with what they have, could they follow the Kansas City Royals model, which when they extended Bobby Witt Jr. to kind of extend that. Now we don't know if they will or they won't, but obviously the status MO is, and Bob Nutting's hardly, I mean, Nutting gets a lot of crap, but he's hardly the first owner of his kind to just be cashing in. John Fisher in Oakland is so cheap that, he might as well put plastic stools for his chairs at home. That's how cheap he is. I've written quite extensively about that. But I think that, Paul Skenes is actually giving something that Pittsburgh hasn't in a while, which is hope.
Okay, George, this question's only for you. Then I have a feeling after the break, we have a boxing match about ready to take place here. But first of all, this is only for you, George. I think Skubal did miss time with Tommy John surgery. So is that true that he did miss extended time, George?
Yes, he did. He did have Tommy John surgery and has been just lights out this year. He's so deserving of the All-Star game, which he's going. And but yeah, Scott, he's had a rough road of it with surgery.
Okay, now let's go to another one. This one's here for you, Mark. And all of a sudden, we need Michael Buffer here. We really do, but that's okay. How many haircuts did you have today, Mark?
Unfortunately, Josh, I had 0. I traveled to South Carolina to spend a few days with my family.
Okay, that's okay. Inquiring minds want to know. School, we already put that one up. And then, hey, Juan Garrido. Hey, Juan, by the way, another way to get our alerts too, pal, is please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. But we're glad that you're able to tune into us on Facebook. God bless, Juan. Glad to have you on here. But please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. It's not Eric. All right, Eric, this is the time that you've been waiting for. Eric should have went to Mark for his last haircut. Oh, I guess in the eyes of now you got to remember, Eric, these guys here, especially led by Eric, like to use the word ball buster. Okay, so but they have to understand they're dealing with a different breed with you compared to most people. So that's all, but Josh will figure it out as time goes on. Mark is the barber and is one of the best South Florida Tribune. Okay, yeah, you know what? He is great, and that's why he's here. I do the best I can to bring the best people on that I can. All right, James Burgess, I wonder if the small market teams could gain enough clout to have a floor that was based on spending from pool TV money. In other words, if you don't spend, you don't get. You know what? That to me is something that
it's worthwhile.
A lot of people want to know about. But now we got to go, and we're going to talk about that, James, in just a moment. But this is what everybody's been waiting for. Okay, now Joshua Dorr says baseball puts me to sleep. Okay, so don't worry, we'll keep you awake for this one. Ryan Hoffman is a mammoth too. Family doesn't get free haircuts. Okay, got all those up there, so I don't have to hear about him now posting my comments. Now this is between Eric Katz and Joshua Burstein. Since baseball may put you to sleep, I can tell you one thing: any show with you and Eric will definitely not put you into sleep. So, Eric, you have a couple comments here. How do you want to handle Joshua Dorr for the whole world to see? Because we had somebody on from Japan a few days ago in Korea. So, this broadcast, get out there.
Oh, boy, Josh. Oh, boy. I mean, as far as haircuts go, I got a nice lady who does it. Thank you.
Okay.
And then baseball, well, if I've that's the oldest thing in the book. You should know that.
Oh, about putting you to sleep?
Yeah, you should know that, and sometimes it's actually a good thing for those who struggle to sleep at night. And they have the pitch clock too now, so you can't really sleep on it anymore.
So let's set everything straight here. Okay. This began here on the professor and the pupil, and Eric Katz and Joshua Dorr, okay, to me, have a thing going. So Joshua, even though you're not on the broadcast in front of us and you're in the chat room trying to stir it up, hey, what? Now I need to see you two go at it. And you know what? Mark and I and George will promise to be spectators. And James and Walter Mitchell, I can promise you one thing. Well, no, we're going to put this up here right away. James Burgess, you're correct. There needs to be a better system. It kills fan interest. Why people invest time in a city that won't prioritize spending for talent. Excellent point, Walter. Now, I'm going to go out there and throw it back on you, Eric. Give me your thoughts about Joshua bursting. He's thrown enough out there for you so that, it's time for you to go out there and say what's on your mind.
Which
Joshua
one?
Dorr. I don't know, whatever you want. Joshua Dorr.
Well, for those questioning what I said earlier, I was mentioning that, you used to be able to sleep, baseball used to put you to sleep because the games used to last for hours and hours. So, obviously it helped you go to sleep in some cases. But now with the pitch clock, you can't really sleep on it because there's action. There's constant action for those who are obsessed with the NBA variety. But there's the pitch clock now, so there's constant action. So there's your entertainment for the evening.
Okay, now obviously for those of you that missed Professor and the Pupil, Joshua was trying to critique Eric's performance as being kind of boring, too straightforward. So since we have a new audience here, what are your thoughts about his observations, seeing you for the first time in this situation? Do you think Joshua Dorr is out to lunch, dinner, or wherever?
I mean, I don't know where he is. I mean, as far as I want to go back to one of his comments was the free haircut. I mean, do you live at home? Do you live in your house for free? I want to know.
Interesting stuff.
And then also, yes, Pol Pot. George has a very nice house with piano. Got the nice little. I think the rock on the. I'm gonna say that's a rock. Am I correct? Is that like chimney?
A fireplace.
Yeah. Well, it's a lovely house. Lovely house.
Thank you.
We pay big money in this business to bring people on, so they don't mind living in nice places. All right. And now, obviously, Joshua Dorr is taking a little thing out of Canada called "Hey, what?" Okay, well, there's a little bit of part Canadian in this guy, I think. Mark versus Eric, that should be a box. You better believe it. I'd love to see it. I really would. I guarantee that'll be one of our best shows ever on this.
I think Mark and I are a little too friendly there because he's such a nice guy, so there's really no reason to do that.
Yeah.
Mark versus Eric's the box. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Well, I love these. I bet Joshua pays bills. Yeah, well, I think
I would hope so.
Yeah. Okay. So with that said, I'll put this one up, and Candy gets to do a station break.
If one doesn't appreciate the three-man game within a game, pitcher and catcher versus batter, baseball could be called boring. But I really like that part. So, ... All
right.
Thank you, James Burgess.
Yeah, thanks, James. So Eric is stunned. Okay, I think he can rebuttal this. Stunned about what, Josh?
I wouldn't call him stunned. Yeah.
I'm confused. Explain.
Yeah, all right. Maybe you need to do a little bit of clarifying, Joshua Dorr. If you don't, we'll actually put people.
We're gonna do a station identification break before we get to that, and Joshua can keep going. But this program is brought to you by the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. We published a book called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It was written by none other than Scott Motor City Madmouth, and the foreword was written by George Eichhorn. There is all kinds of good stories. If you like the stories that you're hearing tonight, there's way more stories in that book. You got to get your copy and read it and see the pictures that are in there as well. And really, if you want to buy it and you want to have an autographed copy, just let us know. Buy your copy. Send us the book. Scott will autograph it, and we'll send it back to you. But you can get it available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple, and Google. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Monday nights is baseball. Tuesday nights is football. Wednesdays and Thursdays, you just never know what sport we're going to be talking about. We talked about the national hot dog eating contest last week, so you just never know what we're going to be talking about. If you see that red subscribe button down by Mark, that means you haven't subscribed to us. Please do so. Share us with all of your friends and family. And please go out and visit all the different guests and panelists that we have on our program, either tonight or any night. And as they are giving us their time, please give them your time as well. If you want show ideas, you can email us, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to sponsor a show or advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you have more ideas or you want to be on a show besides commenting, email us, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle, or X, is @TribuneSouth. Our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Scott and George both write for it. I've got pictures up on it. But more importantly, there is a store you can go get South Florida Tribune merchandise or Motor City Madmouth merchandise. You can get hats, shorts, t-shirts, sweatshirts, tumblers, all kinds of different things. Go to www.southfloridatribune.com and check out the merchandise you can get there. Back to the program.
All right, Candy, well done. One thing I want to go about Paul Skenes real quick before we go on to other topics is this. I'm amazed. Then again, the St. Louis Cardinals fans always amaze me anyways, because they're unquestionably one of the best in the game with their passion. But to think that they went out there and gave Skenes a standing ovation, more power to the Cardinals. These are true baseball fans. They really, really are true baseball fans. So more power to them. So with that said, nothing back from Josh, but let's put Walter Mitchell's latest comment up there. I'm not a Pirates fan, but their scuttlebutt is to sign Skenes to a contract now, some mileage out of his unique situation. Okay, well, that's what they're trying to lock people up to long-term situations. And if you're really committed to him and you can guarantee him some security, more power to him, right? I think anybody can back that up, Mark. It would be you, right?
Yeah, so here's what I've heard in Pittsburgh. They're not ready to commit money to him yet. They want to see how he pitches the next 2 seasons before they would make that commitment. They've got some money that they'd rather invest in a couple other guys, for example, O'Neill Cruz, before they would invest that money in Skenes. If I were Skenes, I wouldn't even sign it unless they start showing a commitment to winning. The big rumor in Pittsburgh right now, Scott, is that they're dangling some things out in front of the Marlins to get Jazz Chisholm. They want to plug him into center field in Pittsburgh. I say go do it if you're going to sign him long term, though. If you're just going to bring that guy in for the last couple of years of his contract, you're wasting. They've got some great prospects in the minor leagues, but if you're going to do him away to get a guy of Chisholm's pedigree, you better lock him up.
Let me tell you, so I've seen a lot of Jazz Chisholm the last few years. You know what? He's done a pretty decent job in Miami. He'd be a good fit for what they're doing. Eric, you want to comment on St. Louis and the other things? I want to get to more comments. I think they're really good. So
great baseball town. I mean, great baseball town. I mean, terrific ballpark. And that place is. I like to, especially expectation-wise, that place. I like to think of it as a more watered down Yankee fan base. It's it's a fantastic place to see a game. It's passionate fan base. I mean, they've kind of softened over the years, because I knew of them as to be a lot more rabid and a lot more crazy, particularly when the Cubs are in town. But good for them. I mean, they did the same thing to Mark McGwire when he first arrived, before he really started taking off and slapping home runs left and right when he pursued Roger Maris's then record at the time. So good for him.
Okay, all right. Rapid fire, Mark. Go ahead, real quick.
I just want to comment to that, Eric. I think their fan base is a direct reflection of whoever's managing that team, and if that's a good character manager, I think they feed off of that. We've known them to have some dirtbag managers who their ulterior motive, yes, is to win, but they don't give respect to other teams. These people are feeding off of what's going on there right now.
I mean,
okay, so these questions are going to be aimed toward Eric. Okay, ready? Rapid fire, Eric. Okay, from Joshua Dorr. Who's Skenes?
have you been listening?
Okay, good. That's your response. Okay, keep going. Hi, Puffin Penguin. Glad to have you back on this show. Okay, Joshua Dorr. Eric needs another bottle of Mountain Dew. Okay, what do you think?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. But these, I got to make sure Joshua Dorr, these questions are aimed at the right people. We all know that Miranda knows who Skenes is, but we just want to make sure that Joshua Dorr realizes that Mr. Katz here not only knows baseball, knows a lot of sports. Okay, Jane Burgess, like this comment. Lived in St. Louis several years, and the Cards owned that town. That's a bullseye there. And then the second bullseye that Burgess puts out there, that is a baseball town, first class and always. Well, nothing wrong with two bullseyes on one chat comment. Let's keep it rolling again, Eric. Now it's rapid fire here, Eric. So roll with it, my protege. Okay, Eric reminds me of Will Vogel. Oh, I wouldn't classify that, but what do you think? Will Vogel?
We're different. Yeah, I do. We work for a little bit. We're Josh. Will and I are just two very different people. I'm more. I'm much more out there and much more passionate about my opinions.
Okay, that's all right. Everything, Joshua, Paul Skenes, a unicorn of a pitcher right now. All right, sounds
there. You
good.
go. You answered your own question.
There you go. Okay, now Joshua Dorr, not as passionate as Marlins fans. Okay, Eric. Bear in mind, everything is going here.
Yeah.
Mark and George toward Eric. Okay, because it's necessary. All right.
Not as passionate as Marlin fans. Well, if you can get people to come out to that new ballpark that was burned up with your Dade County taxpayer money that you're still that you're going to be paying for the next while, then you can prove me wrong otherwise.
Okay, let's keep it going. Okay, Colin Katz. I don't know really where that. So, okay, here let's Cubs. No, I want to go back to that one. Cubs Cards is worth the price of admission any day, and I think everybody could agree on that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when they're both relevant, which doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's significantly more intense.
All right, now Joshua Dorr, Colin Katz. I don't know who that is, but all right, neither. Okay, you're Will Vogel without the pogo stick. Okay.
Whatever floats your boat, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
Come on, bro.
Whatever floats your boat. Okay, keep it coming, Joshua. Eric doesn't dodge anything, especially from you. Okay, we have a new rivalry brewing here between Eric and Joshua, although Joshua probably doesn't sure if there's a rivalry, and Eric probably doesn't think there is one too. But, again, I like to have chat room and commentator chemistry, and this is definitely there. What did I miss? The Gary thing, the Will thing, is that? I don't know. Walter, I'm not sure, but if you want to clarify it, I'll be more than happy to answer it. So with that said, okay, want to make sure we get every single comment Joshua Dorr intended to the right place. And definitely we have struck a chord. With all these questions, I'm a little kid with a pop quiz who didn't study. You're doing pretty good, Walter. You're holding your own quite well against unquestionably one of my most talented baseball crews out there. We certainly enjoy Ashton Nix as well. He's a part of what we're doing here on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. But that said, let's go ahead on to topic number 2 until Joshua Dorr wants to extend a little bit further, but guess what? This show is far from finished. So benrice, first Yankee rookie in franchise history to hit 3 home runs in a game. All right, Mr. Yankee himself. Okay. What are your thoughts about benrice?
Done some good things, has a nice approach to the plate. He's I personally want to see the Yankees ride it out this year with him, see what they have, because there's no time like the present to figure out the future. I think it was smart to bring him up. I think Rizzo's days in New York are going to be done after this year. I just think that he's hitting the wrong side of 35, and Rizzo has done some good things with the Yankees. I think he was well worth the trade at the time when they got him. I just think now it's there's no time like the present to figure out the future. Ride it out with Rice. I mean, nothing like hitting 3 home runs against the Red Sox. So yeah, it's I like what he's done so far. Okay,
here Joshua Dorr says, Eric, give us a dog check. All you gotta do is mention the word dog check. Doesn't matter how you do it.
I guess dog check. I mean, if that's what I'm supposed to do, I don't really know what you're trying to get out here, buddy.
All right. Well, that's okay. It'll to me, Joshua Dorr's dog check remind me of what do you call those? those suckers there. What do they call them? That you have the bubble gum in them.
Oh yeah, like a gum pop, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So there you go. So to Joshua Door, dog is like
Blow
somebody
pop.
having a what?
Blow pop, yeah.
Low
Well,
pop.
Yeah, blow pop. There you go. So here, you gave
Well.
up a dog check. We got out there. He said, "There you go. You might make a friend here. I don't know, but at least we got the blow pop inside the broadcast." All right. With that said, okay, Mr. Maraday, benrice.
Yes, Ben Rice, 3 home runs, rookie. Yeah, I think he's taking advantage of the fact he's part of a very we'll call it a destructive lineup when they get up there to bat, and he saw pitches and he took advantage of that, and you got to give him all the credit in the world for doing that. That's how you make your name. And I'll tell you what, if you hit 3 home runs as a rookie in one game in Yankee Stadium, you go down as a legend, right?
Absolutely, you get
absolutely
some. Yeah, I mean, if you do nothing else in the big leagues, you'll be remembered for that. I mean,
100%.
I mean, Aaron Judge didn't even do that as a rookie. I mean, and there was plenty of other rookies who have kind of come and gone through New York who haven't done it. Even Kevin Moss's little Linsanity run there, it didn't happen.
Yep.
There you go. Okay, George, benrice.
Benrice, don't know much about him. I do know the fact is that, yeah, he got 3 home runs in one game, but in 17 other games for the Yankees, he has 1 home run. So I'm not trying to be too critical of the kid. He's young, 25 years old. He's got hopefully a bright future ahead of him, but we don't know for sure. But I'm not going to diss what he did. Oh, that's a remarkable achievement. And like you said, Eric, to do it at Yankee Stadium, to do it as a member of the New York Yankees makes it extra special. Congratulations, Mr. Rice.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say about it, if you can do something for the first time in Yankee history and in their record books for that reason, that's a heck of an accomplishment. We don't know much about the kid. Time will tell. Baseball tends to humble you anyways. Think about it. You hit 275, you're making zillions of dollars, okay? Now, when you look at it, Michael Jordan couldn't get through it, although he was better off going back to the NBA. Baseball's a tough sport that's full of mental stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, if he doesn't accomplish another thing, he's in the Yankee record books, and that suits me fine. All right, back to Walter Mitchell. What can MLB try to get its teams on a move more even level? I would love to see the sport feels like 8 teams at max have that's a good point. You know what? Mark, I'm going to let you comment, and you know what? This question's good enough to go around the horn.
I don't know if there's actually a formula that or an idea that you could throw out there that's going to get agreed upon by the players, union, and the owners. Like, that's where the problem is. The commissioner's got to step in and say, we need a more even playing field. If you look at the NFL, let's just compare it to the NFL for 1 second, then. If you look at the NFL, almost any given year, 20-some teams are in the hunt for the better part of the year. And in baseball, like he says, by July, you've got a major drop-off in teams. And it comes down to just a few teams doing what they want to do in terms to whether they want to be in first place or just make a wild card. But I don't know. There has got to be some ground pushed by the lower level owners in order for anything to get accomplished, because that's where the snag is. When guys at the lower level earners, like the Pirates, the A's, the Cleveland Indians, Guardians, when they do not give any pushback, they're never going to come up with something that's going to make it a more level playing field.
Okay, George.
Well, I'm not going to agree to that statement. I'll tell you why. Because the wild card is an exciting part of baseball. So right now in the American League, you got the Yankees and the Twins, and the Red Sox, and you got Kansas City and Houston, and Tampa is still in the fight, and it makes baseball more exciting. Now, I understand what you said, Mark. I mean, yeah, the best teams, okay, typically on paper do have a better chance. But we've seen wild card teams slip in there. We've seen big bad Atlanta Braves knocked off, big bad Los Angeles Dodgers knocked off, and the Yankees knocked off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, teams with the most wins in the year don't always win it. I'm not going to say that there are a lot more teams in July in the hunt that go all the way till September or early October. But the fact of the matter is the wild card has created this extra excitement, both in the American and National League. So there's always a chance. I mean, I saw it here in Detroit, St. Louis, wild card, beat the Tigers in the World Series. So, and it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen.
But can I say this,
Eric.
Scott? Let me
Go
jump in, George. As much as I respect you saying that, a 1-game series doesn't prove anything to me.
Right.
That wild card needs to be a 3-game series.
Well, I agree.
Or a 5-game series or something like that. There are teams who, okay, they don't have their best stuff in 1 game. That's still fun to me. Like I watched the Pirates play the Chicago Cubs many years back. But, they brought out their ace at the time. And Pittsburgh just kind of threw a ragtag group out there to play against him, almost conceding. But maybe if it's a 3-game series, okay, we'll concede this to your best pitcher, but we're going to come back the next 2 games if we get there with a better lineup and take it away from you. I 1-game series for a wild card just doesn't flush with me. And that's
all that is, Mark. All that is nothing more than game 163. So that I agree with you there. All right, Eric. Yeah. Good point, so Mark. Go ahead, Eric.
The wild card series is already kind of expanded. It's a 3-game series now. I mean, you got to win 2 in order to advance to the DS. So, you already get that. It used to be a 1-game series, which I'm thankful it's no longer a 1-game series because I thought that was a kind of a truncated playoff round.
My bad.
But I think now with the wild cards in better shape, I think a 3-game series is more than fair. I mean, I think obviously you get 5 in the DS and then you get 7 in the CS. So I think the format that they have now is much better. I think as far as evening out, there's some issues there. But here's the thing, though. What it comes down to is, the San Diego Padres shattered this myth. Yet they haven't really had a lot of success, save for an NLCS run a couple years ago. But they're not a large market team. They dropped a bundle of money on a bunch of players to try and make a run. Granted, they signed some guys who were in their 30s, which is generally not a good idea. Because that's when the talent starts to drop off generally. But teams can do it. Why don't you, instead of just continuing to drink the Kool-Aid and be brainwashed by your small market media, why don't you knock on the door of your fat owner in the club, in his club seat, saying, why don't you spend on better players? Nutting's worth, I think, in the billions. The last guy worth in the millions is, I believe is Bob Castellini in Cincinnati. But your owners are in the billions now. Hedge fund. It's all about being a hedge fund manager in order to own a major league team. Why don't you go knock on his suite and tell him to move his fat butt over and spend some money?
All right. Well, let me add one thing to it. Okay. And that's this. Lots of teams are thinking about the trade deadline. So, they're not sure if you got buyers or sellers right now either. So, right. Right now, over the next few weeks, we're going to find out who's really in this thing and who isn't. But so this first week of July is a good week to gauge it, which is why I do believe that Walter Mitchell's question is actually, or comment, is legitimate. It'll just be one of those things, Walter, we'll just have to see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks. But usually July 4th is the time of the year where people and teams start to gauge what they have. All right. So with that said, all right, we're going to keep it rolling with the chat. We still make sure we get to every topic tonight as well. MLB needs to allow fighting, then I'll watch it. All right, we're going to start off with Joshua's rival, Eric Katz.
I mean, as entertaining as it can be, as entertaining as it can be, it also is dangerous. I mean, were you happy when the Bertuzzi incident happened in hockey? I mean, right. was that entertaining to you? If so, you might be sick in the head. But as entertaining as it can be, it also can be dangerous. We've seen players get hurt and not be the same because of fighting. I mean, as cool as it is and as entertaining as it can be, you also run the risk of having a Bertuzzi incident, and that's the last thing baseball needs, because hockey wasn't the same for a while after that.
Well, just so you know, Eric Joshua an avid hockey fan, so that probably explains that. And I think
Probably.
Yeah. All right. So we'll turn it over to Mark.
In terms of baseball fighting,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a baseball thing. It's a hockey thing. And I don't think it needs to go away in hockey like they're pushing for it. That's part of the mystique of the game. That's what sparks a team to get over the hump. In baseball, you don't get that same vibe from a fight in baseball. You have a bunch of guys come out and just grab each other, and that's about it. Last good baseball fight I saw was Nolan Ryan and Robinventura.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was classic.
I'd say
quit while you're ahead, Mark. Quit while you're ahead on that one. Okay.
I'd argue the Yankees fight in '98 with Armando Benitez was a pretty good one too. When it spilled into the dugout and Darryl Strawberry was in the middle of that, and same with Jeff Samardzija, and I think that Ventura guy on the Royals who since passed.
Okay, we'll let George take a crack at this one.
No, I don't want fighting. I was there the night that Daverozema of the Detroit Tigers did a kung fu up in the air, kicking somebody in the face. I was so disgusted as a follower of the Detroit Tigers when I saw that crap. And he did it against, I believe we were playing the Minnesota Twins. Right. And then the other one, I'll never forget, Dick McAuliffe. You talk about Tommy John taking a hit from Dick McAuliffe in 1968. Tommy John was gone for the rest of the year. I was not happy about that either. So, I mean, yeah, I'm a fan of Detroit, but I'm telling you, I don't care for fighting at all in baseball. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think there's room for fighting in other sports. Baseball is one of them. All right, this is a question for me, so you guys catch your breath for about 10 seconds. All right. Question for me, where's Ashton? Well, he was actually not scheduled to come on the show, but one unfortunate situation happened, and prayers to our buddy Ashton. His dog got bitten by a snake. So the only words that comes out of my mouth is ouch, and prayers for you there, Ashton, from all of us. I can speak for everybody. We'll look forward to you next week. So we'll leave it at that. We'll move it along here. Let's see, having a genuine bona fide curveball is more difficult than most people realize. Truer words couldn't be spoken. Just ask the guys who faced Fly 11 at his best. Miracle Braves of 1914 went down 60-3. And that stretch where live back then, I don't even know. But okay, that won't happen again, I admit. 8 times is greater than D. You maybe have lost me on the algebra part of the question, but I still enjoy putting it up and reading it. Thanks. I was trying to say that I love baseball, but as a Tiger fan, why should I invest when such a disparity in spending and talent retention? Walter, you've been on a roll all night. That's just your latest comment that's on a roll. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading them. Walter Mitchell. Yeah, the season is over by the end of June. It's hard to invest. The days of $4 bleacher seats and $2.50 beers and $5 parking are long gone. To quote Ernie Harwell, I was waiting for somebody to come up with Ernie Harwell reference, and it took Mr. Burgess to do that. Okay, Eric, it's not foolproof. Padres spending. As a Tiger fan, we did boycott with empty seats. Keep it rolling. I'm just going to read them right now. And now with Bally Sports going belly up, there's another revenue stream gone. You know what? Yes and no, Walter. That is going to be gone, but there's going to be more deals with local markets to try to get it back on. That's just something that's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So you're right. But, we're obviously, Walter, one of the reasons I'm going to write another book for Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders, is I'll be entertaining a lot of updated stuff. And this is one topic I'm probably going to broach in a very different way. So I'm glad that you brought it up. But there'll be teams are going to force, hold on one second, are going to be forced to evaluate their TV situation. That's why it is. All right, Eric, go ahead.
I mean, back in the day, radio networks were going up. So this is, obviously now we see it more just because it's just because now we have social media. So it's a lot more out there. But back in the day, radio networks were going up. And, obviously people at the time, cable was the new thing. I think now we're just seeing it's just out there more because we see more now. So I mean, you're starting to see it now. Some teams are starting to have their own cable networks, and the White Sox are starting to become that. I think I just saw the Astros are starting to become that. So I think teams now will have a little bit more of a grip on their rights than relying on another company or pooling with other teams. So you're going to have teams just controlling their rights a lot more. But baseball is never truly, I don't think you're not going to see a team not have a TV deal. I mean, the Montreal Expos tried that and it was awful.
No, I agree. That's just a temporary thing with situation here in Detroit.
Yeah, I think so too. So everybody got their last take on it. Okay. For Tuesday,
Yep.
It was not a fight. Okay. Anybody want to comment on that? Because now I'm looking forward to the next one. Okay. It was not a fight. What was it, Joshua? Well, no.
I
Candy,
think
let's
he's
go back
talking
up to the
about it was more of a sucker punch. Yeah.
Was it a sucker punch? Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
And
all right. Now Joshua Dorr is attempting to do another ball buster at Eric. So I want that one up there for a little while so Eric can rebuttal it. Okay, that's a dumbass take. Okay, clarify. Do you know what he's talking about, Eric?
Yeah, I do. When I mentioned the Bertuzzi and said, "Well, I don't care, Josh. The intent was there. If Moore was prepared, I'm sure he would have gone. If Steve Moore was prepared and and I had a little more size on Bertuzzi, because Bertuzzi is a very large human being. I'm pretty sure he would have gone after it. And mind you, if baseball had the same thing, because baseball is just not in that style, they have hockey and fighting, so people will watch it. I think is, if that the same thing could happen in baseball, there are plenty of feuds that players have with other people. Imagine if that something like that happened against the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros, which those two teams both can't stand each other. I can imagine a hulking figure like Adolis Garcia doing that to Martin Maldonado when Martin Maldonado was in Houston. I'm pretty sure it would have happened had it could.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Joshua, did you understand what he was saying? He definitely disagrees with you. All right, so let's go back to Burgess. Dave Rosen's karate kick ineptitude. Enough said about baseball fights. You know what, James? Yeah, we're not talking about baseball fights anymore. That subject is now gone. Okay, mind you, Cent Beer did have its own unique entertainment, but that's more of a cultural landmark than anything else. Let me also mention James Burgess when beer got out of control. Was it Campbell? Yeah. Then Jim Campbell, I think, shut down the bleachers at one point.
Yes. Yeah.
The Tigers Yankee Stadium too.
Right. So all right. Yeah. Okay. So let's keep it going. But also with so many teams that aren't good, the sport is taking a prime opportunity to take some fan attention away from the sport, not counting football. All right. Those are all fair points. James Burgess doing a remarkable job tonight. Walter, let's see what we have here. Also, with so many teams that aren't good, the sport is missing a prime opportunity to take some fan attention. I already read that one. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Okay, here in Detroit, Tigers are competitive, not even winning, just competitive. It would be the second best sport in the town if they were competitive. Chicago just announced a 3-team deal for their own rights. Thanks for bringing that up. Joshua Dorr was not a fight. Okay, no idea what he was saying. All right. You know what? We'll keep this thing going. But meanwhile, we're going to go on to the third topic of the night. Plus, there will be parting shots because I'm having such a blast. We're going to keep this thing going a while. And Joshua, I hope you can stick around because Eric wants more of you tonight. Trust me.
Come on the show. Come on the show, Josh.
Yeah,
I'd rather you not confined to your cushy chair and the chat room. I'd rather have you on the show and actually talk to me about it. But my next question is: are you acting like a millennial?
All right. Well, the game of the week here. We'll go there. Was the Oakland A's 19-8 over the Baltimore Orioles, July 6th. The crowd of 8,526 saw it. Okay. Now let's go back to some other interesting stats. Okay. Since we are talking about the Oakland A's, the 2023 Oakland A's started the season at 17-50. The 2024 A's started 17-17. Now to give you an update about where the A's are now, they are currently at 34-58, and they had one crowd of 3,333.30 on April 14th, losing to the Nationals 3-1. This game was played on a Saturday. All right, let's talk about the Oakland A's. Definitely not America's team. All right, Eric, you don't have to bring up the Vegas stuff. Not necessary. We're staying with the Oakland A's for one more year, and then you can call them whatever you want after that. So I gave you a loaded thing. They had a good time with batting practice, okay, on Saturday, 19-8, but they only counted one win, unlike college football where if you ran the score up, it meant anything. But 8,526 screaming fans. I'll tell you, as James Burgess would kindly put out there, look out, White Sox, you're being chased. All right. Well, and again, 3,330, 17 and 50, 17 and 17. Eric, I gave you a lot. Go ahead and break it down.
Speaks to the randomness of the sport. I mean, there's a reason we've never had a team go 162-0. It's just the randomness of the sport. I mean, you know, some days you got it, some days you don't. I'm sure. I mean, this year it helps that they have a flamethrowing closer in Mason Millers to shut down those games, because I know for a fact when they started off so awfully last season that they, you know, the bullpen was a problem for them, but they have Mason Miller this year, and you know that definitely helps. And you know, it's just the randomness of the sport. I mean, that's baseball.
All right, you know what? Here, let's go back to Joshua Dorr. Okay, Eric, again, this has been fun tonight, right, Mark? Right, George? You get to see these guys go at it? Am I acting like a millennial? What does that even mean? All right, Eric, tell them what it means.
You hide behind your screen and just type. You don't confront the problem. You just you know, go after people via typing, via texting, or whatever it is that you do, and you don't confront them face to face.
Okay, there you go. Now you got the full definition, Joshua. This is going to be an all-show thing, and every time Eric comes on here, he's looking to get you right in front of him. So when he has the eye of the tiger, you won't be running around trying to get away from. If you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen, as Ernie Harwell would say. All right, now Mark, look, I gave you the info about Oakland, the 17 and 17, the 19 and 8, and the 33-30. Let's give us your overall take of what I just processed out there.
At the end of the day, it's about making money. Baseball is a business just like every other professional sport, and they're not making money. That's why they're moving to Vegas or Sacramento, then apparently Vegas. And I mean, like, it's a non-story to me at this point. Otherwise, they wouldn't be moving to begin with.
Okay, let's go back to Walter Mitchell, 19-8. So basically got foul balls upon leaving and a few home run balls. All right, back to Joshua Dorr and Eric. Not worth my time, bud. There you go. What's your response to that?
I offered, you know, offered, but again, we live in a country where we can make our own decisions. So if you don't want to come, that's fine. I'm good with it. No hard feelings.
Well, there'll be hard feelings eventually when he keeps saying these things and not showing up, because then the word chicken comes into play, just like they used in Rocky II when Apollo Creed wanted to get, Rocky Balboa.
I do. Yeah, I've seen the movie. So, I have it.
Okay. Yeah. And Joshua Dorr with an emoji. I don't know what it is. I'm not big on
He's saluting me. Well, yeah, that's because I'm your commander.
There you go. And my protege. Okay, so George, we'll talk about the Oakland A's. So we're not talking Oakland County, but the Oakland A's.
Yeah, well, every team has its day, and they obviously had it in that 19-8 win, but Orioles still won that series 2-1. I'm still going with the Orioles. I know Eric wants the Yankees, but I'm going to still pick Baltimore. But you can't lose games like that. If you're a good team, that Baltimore has been the last few seasons, I mean, you can't lose like that. That's ridiculous. As far as the attendance goes, we all know the days are dwindling down for that Oakland franchise in Oakland before they move, as you mentioned. And it's just a sad situation all around. I mean, the city and the state blew it by not trying to keep that team there. We've seen this happen in other cities as well. But boy, this is a textbook case of not coming up with the new stadium at a fair rate, let's say, not gouging the taxpayers to pay the whole thing. So it's going to be sad. That was a great franchise. Charlie Finley, all those great A's teams. Oh, amazing what they accomplished back in the day, the Oakland Athletics.
Well, again, when you look at these particular situations here about the Oakland A's, we all know that their days are numbered. What are we looking at? I can't imagine what the farewell is going to be like. But
yeah.
But True. It's just probably reinforces the ownership as to why they are leaving. And I'm not going to really get into all that. It took the Raiders a lot of years before they ultimately left when there was no stadium. But when it's all said and done, there won't be any pro teams in Oakland after the A's leave.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, and I think that that's what we have to keep into perspective. But let's face it, the numbers are what they are. July 6th, 85-26, you're in, okay, you're in the summer. You'd think there'd be a little bit more there. And then, of course, 17-50 last year when they were in lame duck. Now they're in a bigger lame duck. 17-17 was good to write about. And then all of a sudden, now they're 34-58. And then on April 14th, 33-30. So it's, and worst part about it was on Saturday. It's not hard to predict what the writing on the wall is. It really is. So let me just keep everything going here, and then we'll get back to one of Joshua Doerr's latest comments. Okay, well, first of all, he was saluting you. Okay, so we got you saluting you there. And now let's go ahead, Eric. Let's go to the communist leader. I'm sure that you'll probably have a little bit more. I'm sure I'll let you respond to that any way you want, as sarcastic as you want, Eric, because apparently this guy seems to think communist leader is a trending topic in the chat room, at least by his own admissions.
Josh, have you even been listening to the conversation, bud? I mean, it has nothing to do with communist leaders. Matter of fact, I don't. You happen to live in a state where there are people who came over from Cuba, whether they're athletes or whatever, to get away from that. And I personally am not offended by it, but I'm pretty sure they would be too.
Well, there you go, Joshua, getting a lot of different perspectives. You know what I think of the thing of communist leader? I think it's totally distasteful. If you want to continue to make an idiot out of yourself on these shows by mentioning communist leader for the whole world and all these people out there doing it, then, we'll go from Joshua Doerr to whatever other name you come up with. But communist leader, think about it, okay? Ozzie Guillen went ahead and made a comment about it, and look where that landed him. He was a one and done with the Marlins. So even though you don't like baseball, the words communist leader, Joshua Doerr, are not topics that most people like to talk about. If you need any reference to the word communist leader means, go to Rocket Scientist, who I think has shown a lot of remorse about making those comments. But apparently you think that communist leader Joshua Doerr is an absolute joke. And you know what? In my opinion, if that's what amuses you, more power to you. But I don't think any of us are laughing at those two words. Okay, so let's go ahead over to Philly to Kansas City, probably Vegas, another team called for it. Yeah, that's pretty much what it amounts to, James, isn't it? So, okay, let's go. Mark, do you think the A's really tried to negotiate a deal in good faith? Just asking. All right, well, Mark, this is intended for you. So.
No, I don't think so at all. I think they can weigh the economy in Oakland. I think they have years of proof that they were never supported. And they, quite frankly, they can do whatever they want. You can pick your business up and move it wherever you want. And at the end of the day, I mean, you got to support that. Fellas, just baseball today, professional sports today is not like professional sports when George and Scott and I were growing up. These are businesses. You can't fall in love with and be married to particular players any longer. If you want to be married to and love a team, that's one thing. But players and even the organization, to be honest with you, it's just not worth being that tied up in it emotionally. I love sports from top to bottom, but I am also a realist when it comes to that.
Okay, now we have a question for Eric from Joshua Doerr. Question for Eric. Have you ever counted the stitches on a baseball?
I don't have to. I already know the number.
There you go. There. So, okay, we'll leave it at that. Okay, Walter Mitchell. Okay, George, even a good team have a night when they get blasted, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Now,
that's what. But the Oakland doesn't have enough good nights. Okay.
Okay, another question aimed at you, George. What exactly is fair? Think of it. Only Sacramento Kings got a finance facility in California.
What is fair? Fair is that you're not burdening every taxpayer paying a lot of extra tax money on a stadium when a rich owner knows he has deeper pockets. I can't give you a number. What's fair? How many million? I can't give you. But you smell it. You know a rat when you smell it or see it. It just has to be worked out in fairness to both sides.
All right. This is a comment just worth posting, and I'll just go ahead and read it. We'll continue through. Okay, Joshua Door, all right. Well, I don't know what he means by all right, that he did something that he put his foot in his mouth. And now when you're being called out on a national broadcast, okay, it's usually a wise idea to take the words for what their intended context and how they affect people. And again, what can I say? Joshua Door, some people learn, some people don't. We'll find out if you ever do learn. At least on this show, you're not really showing me that you've learned anything since you brought it on two separate shows, except you think your ball busting is getting a reaction. It may be, but not the one you're looking for. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, Walter Mitchell, the fans hate the owner now. It's a major opportunity to way for a while. Oakland is related. I'm going to mention something, Walter, I want to mention. And that says, once upon a time, George Shen never got a stadium built in Charlotte because they didn't like him there. They really didn't. And he moved the team to New Orleans. Well, it's safe to say after that, the Charlotte area did get a new team under new ownership. So it does happen. So
I read he does regret that, though, upon making that move.
All right, so now
I bet. Yeah.
Let's go to Joshua Door. How do you know if you've never counted? Go ahead, Eric. I don't care.
I'm not even going to answer that question.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Kim J, definitely answer this one from Korea. There you go, Joshua Door. You never know, man, where your communist leader comments, because now you're in Korea. And, Josh, you're making a bigger what, especially now they got Korean coming into this show. If you don't believe me, ask those in North Korea. All right. So, but hello from Korea. Mark, are you a barber?
To be honest with you, Kim J, I'm not a barber. I know my hair would lend you to think that. However, I'm a high school teacher.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Love Dusty Braden, Eric McLovin. That might be a little bit nice. It sounds like Kim J. Nice that movie, yes. And hello, Joshua. Great to see you. See, Josh had fans in the chat room. He just has to understand that, a couple of words to me just somehow, some way they don't get it. But we'll leave it at that because we have a couple more topics. Everyone's gonna have a parting shot. I left enough time here to make sure that we definitely got to. So and you're right, Walter. They did move to New Orleans. And speaking of the Charlotte team originally, all right, now Jose Miranda ties MLB record with 12 straight at bats. All right, we don't need a long commentary on this. What are your thoughts about that one, Eric?
Impressive. I mean, I was at one of the games where he went 5 for 5, which was the rubber match against the Detroit Tigers on the 4th of July, which unfortunately got rained out in the 7th. But impressive. He's having a great year. He's hitting the ball well.
Well, Joshua Door, you didn't think you'd ever return Kim? I'll tell you what, Kim's good peeps out there. Kim really is, and you know what? Kim sees a good show and she feels like she gets somehow. We're glad to have people act. We always love to have our favorites back all the way, Joshua. Hey, listen, Joshua, say whatever it is. We enjoy having you in the chat room too. You make the show interesting in ways like nobody ever could. Okay. So, all right, go ahead, Mark.
What do I think of 12 for 12?
Jose Miranda.
I think that's an amazing feat. I don't think you see it all the time. Who knows? The next time we'll see somebody string that type of thing together in Major League Baseball. Yeah, you see it in the minors from time to time, a little bit more consistently, not as frequently though. But I think at the Major League level, when a guy's able to hit 12 consecutive hits, that's an amazing feat.
Okay, George?
Yeah, it sure is amazing feat. And like Eric mentioned, against the Tigers on the 4th of July. I mean, 5 hits. Then the next day he had 4. And, against Houston and another game against Houston. But no, it's amazing feat. I mean, really. I mean, this kid is really helping launch that Minnesota team this year. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a great, great race between Minnesota and Cleveland. Down the stretch. And I tell you what, Miranda, I would take him on my team any day. 26 years old. He's got a lot of great potential ahead of him.
Okay, let's go back to Walter Mitchell. That's crazy. 12 straight hits with special live pitching. Yeah, that Walter really is. And by the way, Kim J, thank you very much for the kind words. You're very welcome. I'm glad you're back on. I really am. You bring something to the show, and we appreciate you spreading the word out overseas in Korea. So God bless Kim J. As far as my opinion on that accomplishment, you can hit 12 for 12 in the major leagues. That's a pretty good accomplishment. I don't care, considering how hard it is to hit a baseball. All right, now let's talk about the Chicago Cubs, okay? The Cubs unveil Ryne Sandberg statue. Well earned, right, Eric?
Absolutely. It's he's he's been a Hall of Famer for a while now. I think he's become very notorious within the Cubs, both as a player and also managing in their minor league system for a while at one point, and eventually getting that opportunity to become a major league manager. It wasn't a very good one, but he finally did get that opportunity. Well earned. I mean, he's one of the greatest Chicago Cubs players of all time. And it's it's real honor. I think obviously I think the timing, you have to think about just the season the Cubs are having. But the other way though, Ryne Sandberg is finally gets his place near Wrigley Field, where he's known for the Sandberg game among other exploits.
Okay, well, as typical rhythm of the show here, this show is being brought to you by Sense of Humor 101 and what we call Boxing 101, Joshua Dorr versus Eric Katz. And Joshua Dorr says Eric looks like the turn the lights off kid once he grows up. Not really sure what that means, Eric. Maybe you can help me on that one. I think I'm running into that disease called dementia, spelled Dumbmentia. If you've never heard the word before, it's because I made it up. But since it's directed at Eric, go ahead. You can comment any way you see fit on this.
Well, let me ask you, Josh. What about when you make? What does that make you when you make stupid comments?
Precisely. Okay. All right. So go ahead. So everybody talk about the Sandberg now. So let's go ahead over to the barber.
I think for so many years, Ryne Sandberg lived in the shadow of Ernie Banks, to be honest with you. But Ryne Sandberg was a totally different player than Ernie Banks. He was a big, strong guy. He covered a lot of ground as a second baseman. That guy deserved to be recognized a lot sooner than what he did. I can't say that any more clear and plain. I thought Ryne Sandberg was one of the greatest baseball players of that era, and I still do. I don't think he should have lived in that shadow, but I really do believe he did live in Ernie Banks' shadow.
Okay, George.
Yeah, I mean, it did take a long time. He's 64 years old, and I agree he did live in that shadow. But 9-time Gold Glove winner. Listen to these stats: 7-time Silver Slugger, 10-time All-Star, 282 home runs at a time when really second baseman didn't possess a whole lot of power. I've always been a Sandberg fan. He had a great career, 16 years, and even though it was overdue. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately. In some cases, players have to wait a long time either to get into the Hall of Fame or sometimes to get a statue or their number retired, which I've seen before, waiting for that. But great job by the Cubs and Sandberg, a great player for them, All-Star, Hall of Famer. Yep.
All right. The only thing I'll say about it is I'm glad Ryne Sandberg got his recognition with the Cubs. He was definitely a Cub in every sense of the word. Let's not forget, I think he was hired by the Cubs from the Philadelphia Phillies, wasn't he?
Yes.
If I remember correct.
Okay.
Yeah, he was managing in the Cubs system for a while. Actually, I got a great story. I was fortunate enough to meet him.
Well, you can get to that in a moment. I know Mark's got to get going, but I do remember he was acquired by the Cubs from the Phillies, if my memory serves me correctly,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, with that said, Mark, I know you have to get rolling, so why don't you do this, okay? Give me a parting shot, okay, and then you can give your contact information, and then Eric and I and George will take it the rest of the way. Go ahead.
You know what, Scott? I'm interested in seeing at the end of the day who they decide to have as the starting pitchers for the MLB All-Star game. I know there's clamoring already for going back to Paul Skenes. People want to see Skenes against Aaron Judge. And as much as that would be an interesting matchup in the All-Star game, I prefer Skenes doesn't even pitch in the darn thing. They've already got 2 starters hit, but I can see why that would be an attractive thing to watch in terms of the All-Star game. As far as my contact information, you can find me on any social media, either at OSP with MM or Original Sports Podcast. We do our show every Tuesday night at 7:05 p.m. And we would love to have you join us. Our most recent show talked about some top 10s, top 10 athletes of all time, top 10 players in different levels of sports. And we're doing a mailbag next week. So if you find us on social media, you can send us your mailbag question.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I know you have to get rolling. So we'll look forward to seeing you next Monday night. Same
I
place.
will
Same
be here
station.
just like clockwork, fellas.
That's the
Okay.
best. You're the
Yeah,
best.
Mark.
All right,
Okay,
Mark. We'll
Mark.
catch you next
Have a
week.
great evening, you guys. Hey,
You too.
Eric, go easy on
You too.
Josh. He seems to be losing his mind now.
We'll see.
Yeah, right. Hey, if you have to leave us, at least watch the rest of us. All right. So, all right, let's go back up to some of the chat comments. James Burgess, plate discipline that is freaking awesome. Got to make solid contact at every at bat. No one gets 12 seeing eye singles through the infield. Boy, truer words couldn't be spoken there, James. I'll just go ahead and run through the comments. Okay, the next one we've already gone over, but she puts it up there. Once the kid grows up, let's keep it going. Walter Mitchell, and a passionate personal note, you help me. It's hard to live life as ALS shut in, but outlets like this help keep my spirits. Well, you know what, Walter, we're always praying for you, and we're just glad that you're able to tune in. God bless. If there's any way that we can go out there and make your life more easier and upbeat, then more power to you. We love you, Walter. Great stuff. Okay, thanks for being here tonight. Joshua Dor, Eric needs to be put in his place. Dude thinks he's hot shit ever since he was deemed a Scott protege and mini man. But boy, Josh, we'll go back to this. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where this distinct hatred towards you and Eric, a guy that you probably never met before tonight, comes in. And Josh, I am okay with putting everything you want up because, hey, if at least you have enough guts to say this on the air to his face instead of just telling me behind the scenes. So I'm glad at least you have that. But Eric, what would be your response to something like this?
I mean, I would invite you, Josh. I mean, if you were ever around, I'd like for you to be around whenever I give Scott a call. I really do talk to him on a personal level more than just show. Every time he's about to cut into the business, I always open up with, I always say, stop. Are you healthy? And right. I got a pretty good relationship outside of that. And I do care about the person personally. I really do. He's more than just someone I go on air with. I personally consider the guy a friend. So, if you want to make me out to be something I'm not, so be it. Not sure why you feel the need to attack me. I'm a little befuddled by it, but if you want to be playful, fine. But if you want to make stupid comments, you're not going to get a nice reaction from me. So, but I'd like to know why you're this way. I mean, during COVID, they said be kind. Well, that's the advice I'd like to give you.
And what I'll even add to that, okay, is Joshua, you can talk about people who should be on and who shouldn't be on. I look for talent in ways that I have to see a journalistic quality and some passion and candor. And I'm not saying this because Eric's in front of me. We've had heart-to-heart conversations the last while. This kid's great. At the most recent NSMA event last week out in Greensboro, they're looking for young journalists out there because a lot of that breed has started dying right now. And Eric falls into that place. And Andrea Kramer, formerly of ESPN. So we need you young journalists to carry what we've started. And Eric Katz, to me, is one of those individuals that fits into that mold. Hey, Josh, you know what? I enjoy when you comment. I think because every time you put something out there, you can take it any way that you see fit. We're going to give you our honest feedback, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, because you're entitled to your opinion. It's your first opinion. I give a lot of people in the chat room, more liberal opportunities to talk than probably most people do. But really, seriously, Josh, but take it as far as you want. But remember, if you attack, you're going to be attacked. And that's just what it is. All right, let's go back to Walter Mitchell. I don't want to drag this on because we still have parting shots. Ryne Sandberg, WGN TV, Harry Wild Memories. Oh, yeah. How many times have you heard that combination before? Whitaker still waiting on that call? Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Hi, Walter. Stay healthy and happy. Great stuff, Kim. We appreciate you so much. Kim J is such a kind man. Okay. Keep it going, Eric. Josh was on the show and choked. Okay. Robert Wardell. Josh may reinvent. Maybe a reinvent is necessary. So, you know what? Robert Wardell was part of what happened there, and perhaps maybe that's why Josh doesn't want to come on. He doesn't, because, you got critics out there as well. Although Robert Wardell will give you some congrats because the Panthers were able to win, though. So, let's keep it going. I choked. I heard you were choking on Bose last night. All right, look at this. Now this is becoming interesting. I have no hate for Eric. I don't even know him. But yet you seem to think you know him, don't you, Josh? Okay, just giving you a good introduction to South Florida Tribune pal. Well, yeah, you're definitely doing that. Okay, especially when you tried to go after Jacob Christner in the manner that you did. But Eric's a little different. He handles that stuff a lot different. I guess there's a lot of similarities between Eric and I. I told Eric to be hard-nosed and thick-skinned, and Eric picked up those lessons quite well. Is there a jealousy issue going on, possibly? Did you just see? Wait, George, help me with this one. I'm struggling on this.
Did you just become the redhead stepchild, Josh?
Okay. Oh, wow. Polar Bear back in the home run derby, just seen. All right, keep it going. How was Rocket Scientist? Curious. Last time he was in the doghouse, he's not getting a dog check. That's okay. Hey, Eric, you need to see. I think we got it all in there. So, hey, yeah, we leave anything, no stones unturned. Okay. Yeah. So, but anyways.
All right, I'll give you my parting shot if you're ready, Scott.
Yeah, just about. I just want to go ahead and see a couple things here real quick. Okay, so Eric kind of looks like Duncan, but more whatever. Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right, go ahead. Give me your parting shot, George.
Well, my parting shot is Willie Mays. 4,500 people in the stands, on the field, honoring the great man. He received final military honors for his time he served in the Army. A who's who list. Barry Bonds was there, and of course, former President Bill Clinton, Rob Manford, Dennis Eckersley. I'm not going to mention all the names. Dusty Baker, Philippa Lou. What a great man we said farewell to today. John Miller, a great announcer, was the master of ceremonies. And the Say Hey Kid, we're going to miss you, but what a great, great life you led, and a great example you were for the Say Hey Kid and the early Negro Leagues and all the great things you did in your career. We miss you already, Willie Mays, 93 years old when you died, but you'll always be number one in the hearts of the San Francisco Giants fans, of course.
All right, now Eric's getting a little bit of love, of course. Maybe, all right, yeah, maybe they were just treating it like a boot camp. But anyway, Joshua Dorr says, get it out up there. Welcome to South Florida Tribune, Eric. Great first two shows. All right, there you go. All right, you can respond to that any way you want. Welcome, Eric. Okay, and then the next one here is welcome, Eric. Good job, buddy, for your first time here. George, Scott, rest of chat, except Josh. Have a fantastic rest of the evening. Thanks, James. God bless you. You were dynamite tonight. We appreciate you. All right, Eric, give me a parting shot, please. I
mean, I'm happy Pete Alonso's back in the home run derby. I feel like we got a number of we got too many players in my opinion saying no to it because they're concerned you'll go into a slump, it'll mess up your swing. I really don't believe that. I mean, we've seen plenty of guys do the derby and they go on a massive tear, like Miguel Tejada, for example. But I really think it'd be great for the sport if more players who have serious power can do it. I think it's just you come back, you haven't played in a while, and unfortunately you go downhill. I don't think it has anything to do with that. Like, for example, Aaron Judge, unfortunately, with what happened with him, he just, people figured out he was not a disciplined hitter like he is now. At least a better disciplined hitter. I mean, he's a power hitter. He's going to strike out. That's just the name of his game. That's just what happens when you hit for power. You're going to strike out a lot. But when they figure, what happens is these guys who pitch to you, he will, they just figure you out. They will find ways. There is so much information and data now where they'll just figure out. And I'm happy Pete Alonso is back in the Derby, trying to go after another title. I think it's awesome. He may play for the Mets, but he definitely knows how to make it entertaining. Okay, let's go back to the comment. James Burgess, George, Scott, Eric, rest of the chat, except Josh.
have a fantastic rest of the evening. Get that up there. So, all right. And now we have another send off for a King. Rest in peace, Willie Mays. All right. Now, Joshua Dorr wants to know, when will Eric be back? I don't know. You tell him. Right now, he's planning to come back on next Monday night.
Sooner
right?
than you think.
Better tune in.
Yeah, there you go. Train you well, man. What ways to improve the Derby? More cash. There you go. That's a good point.
Pretty cool.
All right, let me go ahead and talk about my parting shots. Got a couple of them. Okay, first of all, hats off to Jakeburger. Okay, he had 5 strikeouts and 5 at bats on July 4th in a 6-5 loss to the Boston Red Sox. And on Sunday, a game that Candy Ebling and I attend, he had a walk-off 3-run blast against Miami, a 7-4 win. Now, bear in mind that the White Sox elected to intentional walk jesussanchez, and I'm going to tell you something. They paid for it.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you something. Jake went ahead and hit that 3-1, that blast there to win it. Skipschumaker, the Miami manager, showed a lot of confidence in Berger, putting him in the 4th spot, so more power to him. Now, another thing I want to get out there as well. Reds swept the Yankees 3-0. Tigers swept the Reds 3-0. Guess what? Go figure. That's baseball. All right, So let me go ahead and mention a few more things in the chat room. I'll keep shows going along as long as there's action here. Okay, more cash. Joshua Dorr making some friends in here tonight. Okay, I hope so. And come back anytime, Eric. So look at this. Everybody's softening a little bit, but Eric, you know what? I know exactly what your value is anyways.
Yeah, that's the summary of the business. They hate you and then they love you and then vice versa. Yeah,
no kidding. I'm with you all the way there. That's for sure. All right, you know what, Eric, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
You can follow me on my Twitter at Sports Team News, or you can check out my blog at bellyupsports.com, where I'm writing all things baseball.
Yeah, George, go ahead.
Okay, you can find me here on the South Florida Tribune channel. I write under the Motor City Tribune, my columns on sports, and near the end of my column, I always have a link there that if you'd like to purchase my book called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, you can link right to it and go to Amazon to purchase that. You can reach me always at LinkedIn under my name, at gicorn@yahoo.com, and on X, formerly Twitter, at SanGSports99, and find me on 108 Stitches, the Sports Exchange, and other great programs here on this network. And a great being a part of the show with you guys tonight.
All right, well, so now Joshua Dorr has a request for you, Eric. Can you give Smoking Jay a salute? Yeah, I'm a salute. That's okay. You know how to salute people.
How about you come on the show and I'll salute you?
You talk about Smoking Jeremy now, not him.
Well, if it's Jeremy, and then all to him.
I do.
That was good.
Yeah, good
okay,
one.
All right. Yeah, I know my voice is just about running out of fumes, so Candy Ebling's part of the show that she can come on. And you know what, Candy? First of all, do you have a parting shot? I know you were chomping at the bit to tell me things, and then she can go ahead and take care of our promotional stuff.
Let's see the All-Star game. 7 Philadelphia Phillies are on the team. That to me I know they're having a really bang out year and they're doing well. I just think there needs to be more parity. I mean, let's face it, the Milwaukee Brewers are first in the NL Central Division, and how many players do they have on the All-Star team? 2. I think that's wrong. I think there's more that deserve to be on there. But again, let's face it, Milwaukee Brewers are a small market team, and they're not like your New York teams or your LA teams or anything like that. They're outperforming, I think, what most people thought they were going to perform. Absolutely. Because let's face it, Craig Counsell went south and everybody thought he would do great. The Cubs are not having the year that they thought they were going to have. Counsell's not doing the same job that some people thought he would do. Although some people thought he might not do, that he wasn't the greatest coach. But kudos to Pat Murphy, because I think he's really got the team playing well. I just wish that there was more representation from the Brewers at the All-Star game.
Well, fair enough. I enjoy that. She was telling me, I'll figure out why I put her in the DM.
I agree with it all.
Okay. Now Candy's got more business. Go ahead, Candy.
The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book last November. It is called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. George Eichhorn wrote the foreword. Scott Motor City Madmouth wrote the book, and it's about all his years in the business, over 40 plus years. Go read it. Find out all the some great different stories. If you're trying to get into the business, it tells you about how media has changed over the course of the years. Go get your book, Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Google, and Apple. If you like to listen to podcasts, listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We talk baseball Monday nights. We talk football Tuesday nights, Wednesday and Thursday nights. You never know what we might be talking, from cornhole to hot dog eating contest to NHL, NBA, MLB, NFL, college sports, you name it. We've talked about it. I'm sure we will be talking about the Olympics coming up soon, so stay tuned for some of those great shows. On Wednesday nights, Scott does a Motor City Madmouth show, which is a one-on-one interview show. Go check it out. It's on nofilter.net. Yes, you have to sign up for it, but it is completely free. It does not cost you anything. Of course, if you want to tip because Scott is doing such an amazing job, you are more than welcome to. But it costs you nothing to go to that network and look at it and see who else is on that network. We ask you to look at other people that are on panelists, go to their writings, go to their websites, go to their YouTube channels, and support them as well. We appreciate all that they do for us, and we hope you appreciate and can reciprocate. You can find our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Scott writes, George writes, Candy takes pictures. We have a store that has merchandise on it. Go check out the merchandise. You never know what you might need. You might need a hoodie for a chilly night, or you might need a tank top for those hot summer days. The South Florida Tribune or the Motor City Madmouth. If you'd like to sponsor a show or advertise, call Scott, 954-304-4941, or email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Twitter handle is at Tribune South. If you see a red subscribe button and you see it, it means you haven't subscribed. And honestly, I just don't know why. We have all this great programming. You can get notifications when our programming is on. So you can come in here and you can chat, and you can light up the chat room with Joshua Dorr or all the other people that were in our chat room. Thank you, everybody, for chatting and taking the time to watch us. Robert Wardell, when's the pickleball convo? We've actually talked about it before. You never know when it's going to be on. And Kim J, hello. Thanks for saying hi to me and giving me a salute there. I appreciate it. I think that's all. If I missed anything, you can read it. It's scrolling on the bottom. And for those that are listening, just rewind and listen to us all over again, and you'll get it all the second time around.
All right, let me add something to Robert Wardell. Hey, Kim, obviously, Candy, appreciate you as well. We did it one time, but you know what? I have two shows that we're going to see if we can drum up another pickleball topic. And I'll tell you why, because it is a very popular sport these days and picking up steam. I don't think I'll be able to play it because I'm bound to get hurt again. I've already hit my deductible in February. The last thing I need to do is have more injuries, since I have football season coming up and I can't afford to miss time. In addition, was left of baseball. But you know what, Robert? Let me answer that question for you. You'll most likely see pickleball conversation on Wednesday nights on the Sports Exchange, or a definite possibility will be on Thursday night with Fire Up and Smoke and Jeremy B. Candy are on that show, and I come on every now and then when I can. So, so either look for Wednesday or Thursday nights. And you know what? We appreciate you continuing to come on, but we're going to go out there and prioritize some sort of a pickleball topic for you, and then you can go ahead and please chime in that way. Great stuff. Great show. And I'll say, you know what, Joshua Dorr, you were hot and cold all night, but you were consistent. So that wasn't the worst thing in the world. So on behalf of Mark Merriday, Candy Ebling, George Eichhorn, Eric Katz, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Citrus Baseball Talk. And we will catch you the next time, same day on this station. So everybody go out there and have a good week. and we'll be back with more headlines next Monday night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.